The nasty, sexy, dirty ass. Just not good. Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your host, Des. And as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Lynn.
We've only just begun to live.
Okay, take it easy, Carpenter. And joining us again, the podcaster with a degree in terror, Tony.
Hey, how's it going?
The original Tony. Tonight, we will be discussing the 2007 horror thriller 1408, written by Matt Greenberg, Scott Alexander, and Scott Karzawaski, based on a short story by Stephen King, directed by Mikkel Hafstrom, starring John Cusack, Tony Shalhoub, Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson, and Mary McCormick. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the podcast. That was a lot cleaner than last week.
I think it took you 3 tries last week.
No, we just did it once and put it out.
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
It was great. I loved it. I thought it was such a good podcast. All right. And now it is time for the Fast Five. And I have been enjoying putting these together, especially on Tony's nights, because I just put stuff in that I think that he'll appreciate. So tonight, for the Fast Five, we will be doing horror movie poster showdown. Okay, so Tony, I'm just assuming that you are familiar with all of these movie posters. Number 1, The Evil Dead or Jaws. Tony, what's the better poster?
Jaws.
Dylan.
Jaws. Iconic.
I don't know, man. If I had to wear one of these on a t-shirt, Evil Dead is so good. I mean, I love Jaws, but the Evil Dead one is so good. The correct answer is Evil Dead.
He's wearing an Amity Island t-shirt right now.
I mean, come on, look at this.
The only way that could be cooler is if it was an Evil Dead.
It was...
Number 2, Friday the 13th or Halloween. Tony.
Oh, they're both iconic. I gotta go Halloween.
Dylan.
Yeah, I also have to go Halloween.
And the correct answer is Halloween. Number 3, Maniac or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Tony.
Fucker, dude. I was like, nothing beats Maniac unless it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You get the arches and the girl hanging. Oh, it's great.
Oh, yeah. God. Dylan, what do you got?
I'm going to go Maniac on this one because that's a really interesting poster.
That original orange and white Texas Chainsaw Massacre poster is the king of the mountain. The correct answer is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Number 4, Carrie or Dawn of the Dead. Tony.
Oh, Dawn of the Dead.
Dylan.
If they had just used Carrie just dripping in blood, I'd have to go Carrie. But where they do that side by side picture, I don't like it. So you got to go Dawn of the Dead.
And Tony, that Dawn of the Dead poster, that's the one with the pink, right?
Yeah, with the head and
the half head.
Held dead walk the earth. Yeah,
the correct
iconic
answer is Dawn of the Dead. It's an awesome poster. They make a great t-shirt. Now this one, these aren't really horror movies, but they're just so iconic, and I wanted to know which one you would pick. A Clockwork Orange or Rocky Horror Picture Show. So ridiculous. Tony, which one?
Oh, that hits hard. I got to go Clockwork. Clockwork is amazing. You got everything going on.
I'm surprised that you chose that, being such a Rocky fan. And
me too. But
you were in Rocky, weren't you, Tony?
10 to 12 years, yeah.
Okay, shame on you for picking
Oh, no.
Clockwork Orange. And Dylan, Tony just got kicked out of the fucking the Rocky Horror alumni.
We just kicked him out of the full body cast.
He had to give back his fucking hoodie.
Oh my God. I'm going Rocky. I gotta.
And the correct answer is Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's a fucking badass shirt with the fucking lips. And
I have a shirt that has it, you know?
I mean, all right, look, Clockwork Orange, it's a little edgier. Like if you're gonna wear a t-shirt out, I mean, the Rocky Horror is cooler with the big red lips, and it's so good. It's got to be Rocky Horror. It's got to be Rocky Horror.
I can't argue. I'm not. There's no argument coming from me on that.
There's no loser here. Tony, what
No.
movie do you like better?
What movie do I like better?
Yes.
Can't you just ask me which one I've seen more? That just makes it way easier.
No, because I'm going to answer this too. I've seen them both a million times.
I have too. I rewatch by choice. I rewatch Clockwork Orange more than I watch Rocky at this point because I've so overdone Rocky. I've heard it, I've performed it, I've acted it. I can't anymore. I love it. Huge place in my heart. All my friends currently today are from Rocky Horror, so I will never take anything away from it. If I'm sitting down for 2 hours and I have them both in my hand, Clockwork's going in.
And Dylan, same question.
I have not seen Clockwork Orange in years, but I try to watch Rocky at least once every Halloween season. So I'm going to go Rocky.
And the last time I watched Rocky Horror Picture Show, I definitely did a little of the scanning through. Like there were a couple of spots that I just, it's a musical and I had to just kind of skip ahead a little bit to some of my favorite scenes. And I rewatched.
Try acting in it.
Oh God. And
there were scenes where you would just clock out.
Yeah. And
there's the panic of where should I be right now? Should I be right? Oh no, I'm good. There's 2 more scenes, so I got to be where I need to be.
And there's sections you have to. But I actually watched a Clockwork Orange recently. Just sat down. I wanted to really watch the movie now that we're doing movie reviews and just see how it stood up, even though we weren't doing it for the podcast. It's a fucking great movie. I was blown away.
Layers on layers in that fucking movie.
I was blown away.
I will challenge all of us, the 3 of us, to try to keep it under 2 hours and do the Rocky Horror Picture Show some week.
Yeah,
between Dylan and I, the stories that will just keep coming out. We won't even get to past like the lips. Hour and 20 minutes.
So, Tony, for the viewers, who did you play in the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I played Eddie. I played Meatloaf. I come in, I steal the movie, and I leave. That's
fucking great, dude. I can see you in that character. I would recast it with you. And Dylan, who did you play in the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Mostly Magenta, although I did play other roles. I played Columbia for a while, but mostly Magenta.
Mostly Magenta. And you guys both performed in Kenmore Square, correct?
Harvard Square.
Harvard Square. My bad. Harvard Square. And did you guys ever perform with the same cast?
Yeah.
Oh, we were in the same cast quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We were for the chunk of it.
Friday nights.
And Gene Dante was the star of the show in both of your experiences, correct?
I usually had a different Frank because Gene was a Saturday night Frank and I was a Friday night Magenta. So we had different casts for different days.
So Gene was like on the A crew, right?
Gene was on my night. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, there you go. For our listeners, you now have got a little peek into Dylan and Tony's past on the big screen, the big stage with the big screen behind it.
The big screen behind us.
In front of the big screen. Okay. Okay, with a box office budget of $25 million and a box office return of $132 million, this was considered a huge success. Let's do some quick opening thoughts on this one. So this is a movie that I have owned forever on DVD. And it's a movie that I saw in theaters. I have fond memories of it. Huge John Cusack fan. I love John Cusack. And I remembered him being really good in this. But when I watch these for the podcast, I never know what the flavor is going to be at the end. So did it hold up to my review? I don't know. Let's find out. Tony, had you seen this movie before watching it? I'm sure you have.
I did. I went and saw it in the movies. Again, a huge John Cusack fan. Pretty much my wardrobe was a long trench coat because of Say Anything through, college.
Sure.
Yeah, I dug it when I first saw it. I've owned it for, again, another one. I've owned it for a long time. and I took the shrink wrap off, put it in, and the motherfucker wouldn't work. I had to rent it.
No.
I had to rent it on Amazon, and that's why when I was like, I gotta wait a week because I only had a 24-hour rental, so I couldn't watch it. I watched it a week and a half ago, fuckers. So
Tony, what ending did you get?
the theatrical ending, unfortunately.
Is that
So
the cemetery?
no, that's
Nope,
him
I
and
did
the
not get
wife.
that.
You
Yeah.
got the
Him
other
and the
one.
wife here in the what happened in the room.
Gotcha.
Him talking in the room. Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I dug this movie a lot. I liked it. I hate to say I liked it better now than I did when I saw it.
I did too.
I thought when I saw it was really cheesy. I thought it was really stereotypical. I thought it checked off the boxes for a haunted house movie, and
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed. This time around, I don't know what changed. I don't know what mindset I was in, but man, there's a few moments that just hit me really, really well. So not scary, but I really appreciate what they did with that, where they went with it.
The mind fuck thing of it all.
That we'll get to it because
Yeah.
Okay.
it's the thing that changed the movie for me this time around.
So
Gotcha.
this movie for me, it was amazing this time. Like you said, the better that not to rush to jump ahead. And it was funny because I've seen all the endings to this, and I thought that I liked the one that you saw the best. And then I saw it today with the cemetery ending.
I don't
And-
remember the cemetery ending.
Yeah,
We'll
and
get-
then
we'll
there's
get to it.
also another ending where he hears the voice on the recorder and she doesn't. So those are your three different endings.
Okay.
And I was resold after this. Dylan, have you seen this before preparing for the podcast?
Yeah, I've only seen it once before. I watched it with you at some point because you've had it on DVD off and on. And the thing that struck me about it watching it this time is like I like John Cusack, but I like him like Lane Meyer. Like that's my favorite John Cusack, you know? So this really proves what a good actor he is because you have to realize like most of this movie, it's him in a room. Like,
Mhm.
you know, it's like it's him in a room, there's some special effects, and you have to believe it. And it's like he sold me. Like I believed it, you know. So I was really impressed with that. I laugh because, you know, on the cover of the movie, you get him and Samuel L. Jackson. This was like 2 days of work for Samuel L. Jackson, and the rest of the movie was him. But they put him on the cover because they know he sells. So I can't really say I blame them that much. But he's not in the movie. I mean, Mary McCormick's in the movie more than Samuel L. is, but
Yeah,
it's okay.
But Samuel L. is so potent in his scenes.
Yes.
It feels
True.
like he's in the movie longer than he is. Like I remembered him having no part in this movie almost.
Seriously, yeah.
And when I watched this, his time on the screen was so heavy and so impactful and so good. It just felt like more. It
The
was
jousting back and forth was just like I sat there at the end of when he finally let him into the room. I'm like, that was just an awesome, like, well acted dialogue back
Yeah.
and forth, like so well.
And Cusack is he's on fire in this. He's going to give us this is acting 101. They're like, let's see you sad. Let's see you cry. Let's see you be cynical. Let's see you be funny. And he just delivers every single time. And this, for me, this character, this is a offspring of his character in High Fidelity for me. And this was like, as I was watching it, I almost couldn't separate the two, Rob from Mike. I almost couldn't separate it. I mean, he's got his top 10 lists in this one. He's got his top 5 lists in that one. He's almost the exact same character. He's cynical. He's funny. He talks down to people that like want to be his friends, that look up to him. It's really good. So let's get into it. I will give you a synopsis. A man who specializes in debunking paranormal occurrences checks into the fabled room 1408 in the Dolphin Hotel. Soon after settling in, he confronts genuine terror. Okay. So that's it. That's what this movie's
Scary.
about.
Yeah, I'm scared. So really quickly before I get into the scene breakdown, something I've read about this movie that I thought was very interesting was this movie goes through the stages of
Grief.
grieving. Yeah, of denial, anger, like, and it's like, oh wow, it really does. You're carried through basically his grief from his daughter's passing and his marriage ending. So I
That
thought
he's
that was
run
very
away
interesting.
from. This forced him to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it forced him to do it.
Dude, the writing is so tight in this. I mean, they give you so many little Easter eggs, the cigarette behind the ear that he's going to hold on to through this whole thing. And then we're going to find out at the end why he's carrying it around and why he used it as a tool to escape the pain of looking at his wife. Dude, I fucking love this script. All right, Dylan, let's do this.
All right,
Break
I'm
this
getting
bitch
into it.
down.
Here we go. The movie opens with Mike Enslin arriving at a supposedly haunted bed and breakfast. Through discussion with the innkeep, it's revealed that Mike is an author of cheesy horror tour guide books. He travels from place to place, staying at supposedly haunted places and then writing summaries of them for his books. He approaches every assignment looking to debunk it. He doesn't believe in ghosts or God. He has a decent night's sleep in the supposedly haunted room and leaves in the morning. And I love how this introduces us to who he is by softballing it in, not just taking us straight to 1408, you know?
Yeah. So these opening shots for me are great. They set the mood. The opening shot of this movie, the pouring rain, and he gets out of his car when he finally finds this little motel. We get this really cool arched bridge going over to the hotel. And I'm getting Tony, you got to agree. We're getting the Misery vibe here, right? I mean,
Yep.
this is like the opening scene to Misery. He's got the cigarette, the one cigarette. He's the writer. He's, it's really good. We meet Mike, and I love this character. He's cynical to the people in the inn. He's got this condescending sense of humor with just a hint of melancholy right under the surface. It's so good. And then we get this classic Cusack line at the end when he gives his shiver score. 6 skulls. Nah, screw him. 5 skulls. I laughed out loud. This movie has just the right amount of comedy in it. Oh, man. Tony, what'd you think of the opening scenes?
It made him very unlikable. That's one of the things I remember about this when I first saw it. And I'm going to go into an open mind because it made him so unlikable. He's so condescending openly to these people who are holding on to this one little thing that makes their hotel, quote, different. And trying to get tourism and like hoping that he's going to help them drive their tourism up. And he just shoots their shit down like hard. And he has no cares. He's like, to him, it's every day, it's a job. To them, it's their livelihood. And it's like, he comes across as a big asshole. And even when he gets in the room and you start to meet him, you soften a little bit because you can start to see, like you said, underneath it, you can see that there's something going on with him. But right off the bat, the first impression is like, oh, fuck this dude, man. Like, I don't care. I hope he gets fucking killed.
See, I read it completely differently. I was annoyed by these hotel workers, owners. I was annoyed by the people at the book signings. Like he just doesn't care. He's like Dave Portnoy doing pizza reviews. He's like, I don't give a fuck. I just want to eat your pizza and fucking give you a review.
And I fucking hate him with every fucking ounce of my being. I can't fucking stand him. He's a self-centered, look at me kind of person.
Oh,
and I fucking can't stand. I've gone to the horror conventions. I've gone to book signings. And there's nothing worse than me. Here's my $20. Here's a book I want signed. You couldn't even look up at me when I fucking give you the money. Go fuck yourself.
Right.
So maybe that's my own issues coming out in this. But it's like he did it really well. He portrayed I don't care. I'm doing a job. That's it.
See, I got more of the impression that he wasn't so cynical towards the hotel workers and the people as he was cynical about where he has found himself in his life as a author. He does not want to do this. This was not his dream. We're going to find out very soon that he had written some real books and had his sights set on being a serious author that people took seriously, and that failed. And he's been basically relegated to just doing this, and he resents it.
But the reason he failed is because of himself and what he's ran away from. But we'll find out.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of read the character a little differently, and I love Robin in, High Fidelity, and it was such a close character for me. I just couldn't hate this character. I couldn't.
See, High Fidelity is one of the worst things he's done for me.
Oh,
that movie
are crazy.
That movie made me just, I need to revisit it. I'm not going to lie. When I saw it, I was expecting more comedy than cynicism, and the movie was fucking pure venom.
Oh, please don't take this personally, but fuck you. Okay.
Well, I will be sure not to take it that way, but I related more to Jack Black than I did to him.
Oh,
I end-
fucking.
Oh, Jack
Okay.
Black is amazing in that movie.
Yeah.
Inside stuff.
My mind is blown. That movie is fucking. That movie is magical. Oh,
I'm not saying it's been at least what? When did it come out? I only saw it once in the theater, and I walked out going, I don't need to see this again ever.
I've
But
seen
anyway,
that
we're
movie.
not talking about that movie.
Yeah, no shit. I've seen that movie probably 100 times. It's one of my favorites.
No shit.
No shit, as we found out last week. Okay, let's move on.
All right, moving on. Mike heads to a book signing he is scheduled to attend in a small bookstore. His signing is sparsely attended. A young girl walks up to him and places a book before him called The Long Road Home that he wrote. Mike is surprised that the girl has a copy of the book. It's clear it's not one of his horror books. The girl says she was genuinely touched by the book, especially the part about the relationship between the father and son. She asks him if it's based on the truth, and he says no. And you know, by the mood and the music, you kind of get the cue that he's not really telling the truth.
Yeah. So this scene is what makes this movie really resonate with me. Like this interaction between Mike and the desk worker, it's dry comedy done perfectly. I mean, this is a horror. I'm you doing finger quotations. This is a horror movie, but it's got this perfect amount of this dry humor throughout the entire thing, whether it's facial expressions or tones of voices or condescending fucking interaction between two characters. I love this desk worker because he doesn't give a fuck about John Cusack as much as John Cusack doesn't give a fuck about him or his little library or this whole event. And it's really fun, you know, when he get ready for the exciting book signing with it's just so good and I love it. And you know, this character that Cusack is giving us, I think they purposely start off giving us this like one note John Cusack where it's like, okay, he's very monotoned. He's kind of delivering the same thing now for the second time. We're getting the second interaction between him and people, and he's doing the same thing. But this is a slow burn, and his character's a slow burn. And when they uncork it and they say, okay, Cusack, go nuts, it's giving us such a contrast that it really works. As he explains to the group that he's never seen a ghost, we're seeing scenes of him in the hotel the night before, trying hard as fuck to get a glimpse of something paranormal. So it's not like he's just mailing in these reviews. He's not just going into the hotel and watching fucking Howdy Doody, going to sleep and then writing a skull score. No, you can see that he genuinely, for whatever reason, wants to see something paranormal, and he is trying to find something paranormal. I don't think
he wants proof of the afterlife because of his situation.
Exactly.
And he wants, but he's never experienced it, so it's soured him to it. Hence, the sourness has literally taken over him, and he's now throwing it at anyone who interacts with him with any kind of positivity. He can't handle any positivity, which is a testament to this character because we're analyzing a fucking stupid horror movie with the intentions of the writer and the actor. And John Cusack has done such a great job acting in this movie that we're doing this. Like, we shouldn't be doing this right now.
Yeah, so
but his character is so, again, I hate to, he always goes to say layered, but it's like you could see the pain underneath him when he's talking to them, even though it's coming across as cynicism and he's like, oh, he's bored. But you can hear it in like the inflections and in his eyes. He's got very expressive eyes. One thing I noticed in this movie is there's so many close-ups of his face.
Yeah,
his eyes are so expressive in the fear and the dread.
Yeah,
you know, and he does an amazing job.
And like you said about the layering, you know, the last thing you expect to see, because we don't get these scenes earlier, is when we finally see what he did all night in that hotel. You're like, oh, so this isn't what they were selling me. I thought he didn't give a fuck about paranormal. This was just a mail-in job. And then we see, for his own personal reasons, like you said, Tony, he's desperate to see some paranormal activity because he is missing his father and his daughter, which we're going to get revealed slowly in this slow burn. It's so good. Oh,
his dad's not dead.
So when he's signing his first book, what?
Honey, his dad's not dead.
His dad is dead.
No, he goes to see him at the end of the movie.
No, he doesn't. That's not his real dad. He's in a dream sequence.
Okay. I feel like his dad's not dead. I feel like
Okay,
his dad is at
we're gonna
the.
get
At,
we're gonna get into this. We're gonna get
Okay.
into this and how many.
well, so I mean, like here's the thing. At any point in this movie, he could have died. and
Yes.
we don't know what we're seeing.
and for such a tight script, right? It's got this super tight script that like it follows so many rules, but at the same time, there's a million different plot directions you could be going in, and we're going to get to that. So we signed the book for Anne, and she says, was the relationship between the son and the father real? And he says no. And we get some ominous music here that leads me to believe that he's lying, obviously. And it's a nice foreshadowing. And the haunted mansion line, where can I see a real ghost? Haunted mansion, Florida. It's fucking great. I'm laughing out loud. It's really good. So yeah, good.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here.
Unless Tony has anything else to say about that.
No, I'm
Okay.
I'm spent on that.
After the book event, Mike heads back to the beach near his home and goes out to surf. He gets distracted and gets hit by a big wave. Separated from his board, he comes to laying on the sand with a concerned bystander asking if he's all right. Feeling fine, he goes to get his mail. Most of it's ads for more haunted hotels, but one catches his eye. It's a postcard from the Dolphin Hotel in New York. On the back of the postcard is a single warning message: "Don't enter 1408." Intrigued, he starts researching the hotel and room 1408 specifically. He finds several articles outlining different deaths that have happened in connection to the room. Mike then calls the hotel itself to make a reservation and is told that the room is unavailable no matter what date he wants, and gets hung up on. Mike thinks this is some sort of ploy, really trying to bait him. He speaks to his agent Farrell, and he tells Mike that physically they cannot prevent Mike from renting the room according to New York state law. If it's available as a hotel, they must rent any available room to him according to the official guidelines of New York. Mike's agent makes the arrangement, and the author heads to New York. I love all of this stuff with the number 13. 1408. Yeah, it equals
entire
13.
movie.
And it goes on and on and on. There's a couple different things that come up that add up to 13. But I also love the fact that it's on the 13th floor, because
Yeah.
there's no room. So 1408 is actually 1308.
Yes.
So I was like, that's interesting. So that gives you right there.
The radio station is 104.
Yeah.
Yeah.
104.8. Yeah.
Yeah.
13 all through. It was amazing.
Yes. They purposely peppered it in all through the movie, and I loved that.
So Dylan, I'm going to agree with you. The father is alive, and it's just talking it through is what makes you so the big fear, and it makes it even a smarter movie, because the daughter is dead, and that's the grief there. The father is lost his mind and is in a home, and that's the fear there. So you're 100% right. You're 100% right.
Oh, none of it really matters because he died during the surfing accident, and this is all his coma.
Well,
That's what I was
we're
going to
gonna get
say.
there.
This is Jacob's ladder. Yeah.
So I love this scene because it opens up possibilities of what we will see going forward. Is it all in his head as he lays unconscious in a hospital? Or is he dead and this is hell for him? Or is this all really happening? And there are a few more possibilities that I'm going to point out as we go. At the post office, I felt a little nod to being John Malkovich when we see Cusack shot from inside the P.O. box. Like, it just kind of like flashed me back.
Oh,
That's
and
good.
they do it again later with Samuel reaching in for the key. It's that same long shot.
But seeing John Cusack at the end of that shot, I was
funny.
like, oh, this is fucking John Malkovich. This is so good. And again, we see Mike talking down to a fan in the post office. The kid behind the counter recognizes him and says, hey, your book's this really scary shit. And he's just like, fuck you, dude. Basically. He obviously hates writing about the paranormal. He had dreams of being a serious writer, and he failed. And this is what he's relegated to, and he's not happy about it. But like we had said before, Tony, it still feels like he's searching for something on a personal level here. And like you said, Dylan, when he's writing on the postcard and he adds up 1408 and he goes, oh, that's good. That's good. And I'm like, oh, that's so good. Then we get the call with the hotel room and them going around on, I'll take it Tuesday, unavailable. Next Tuesday, unavailable. Next summer, unavailable. and then he hangs up on him. It's so fucking good. Then we get this history on the hotel while Mike does research on these fucking old school library fucking
Microfiche.
Microfiche.
Oh, it's so good, dude. And I'm so glad that this wasn't like done today where we're going to see it like on a computer or something, because these images are so much scarier on these microfilms. They just look great. And it was such a smart idea for this director to add these pictures in here. We're going to get it again a little later. We're going to get it with a blue light, and it adds some much needed gore and horror to this movie that really just works. Tony Shalhoub, he was a big actor at this time. He had done Monk, if I'm not correct, if not mistaken. And the contrast between him and Mike, between those two, is great. He's so upbeat. He says, he's telling his lawyer, just be careful what you say. This guy's like on the verge of fucking killing himself and falling asleep at any moment. Just really, really good. And then, we get a little exposition between Sam and Mike, hinting that Mike has had a really bad history in New York. And the slow burn on Mike's character is just working. It's really great. And yeah, I'm all in. I'm so interested at this point. The story is burning perfectly for me. Tony.
Yeah. I mean, the back and forth, with the phone call and his face like, okay, this is how we're going to do it. It's he's run into it before, except he's impressed. Like, they're going the extra mile. Like, they really don't want me to stay here. And now let's take a step back and like, all right, so if this is the case, did the hotel send him a postcard?
Definitely.
Who sent the postcard? Was the hotel?
I would love to know who sent the postcard.
Because hotels can't send handwriting, but either way, I'll let it go. There's all those questions that like you just forget about that thing. But when you stop and have to note everything, it's like the hotel can't do that.
No, but Tony,
okay.
So they say that they go in and they turn the room once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Now this room can make people slit their own throats, sew it back together, gouge their eyes out.
Good point.
He makes one of these either hotel workers fill out the postcard and send it. And that was their deed.
Why him?
Oh, I mean,
my guess is because he writes the books. He writes those books, and it's going to bring more people to the room.
Bingo was his name-o. I love it, Toy. There it is. That's definitely why.
But it's not. The thing is, it's not a hungry room.
Oh, I think it is.
Crazy.
I do too.
I don't think so. I never
55
got the impression.
deaths.
It is, but again, not all of them were in the room. Like, if you listen to what Samuel Jackson eventually talks about, it's like it can affect people outside the room. So why would it? I don't know. That part of it doesn't gel for me. I appreciate it. I love it. It got him there. It's how we get the movie. But it's one of those things. If I was writing it, I'd be like, let's figure out something else, some other way to do this.
Yeah, see, the reason I liked it was because this movie is one of those thinker movies where the whole time I'm like, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, oh, it's this. And it's just another mystery. It's another Scooby-Doo.
See, but I'm someone, if you introduce a problem, you got to give me the answer by the end. Don't leave things undone. It's lazy writing. You didn't have an answer yourself, and you're hoping no one brings it out and calls you on it. And that's the shit that bothers me. The same thing, the same way it's like, I create these rules of these world, but I'm going to have some characters not follow the rules of this world. The most cardinal sin you could have in any movie. So haunted house movies, you kind of you have to let it go because ghosts can do anything.
I would agree if this was a lazy script, but it's not a lazy script, so I'm going to give them a pass. I give them a pass.
I'm not saying I'm not, because I'm invested in the movie and I like it anyway because I got him there. It's just one of those things that makes me go, give me a reason, and it's flawless. Because you didn't. But again, he's dead on the beach, so it doesn't matter.
I wonder if there is like a little Easter egg in there, though, that maybe we missed, alluding to the postcard's origin that maybe we just didn't see.
It's one of the things, doing the research, it's one of the things that everyone brings up. It's like almost like the first thing. It's like, who sent the postcard?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because you have to wonder how it got there.
Maybe one of the victims' family members, maybe somebody that just wants the room reviewed. One of his fans.
It would be one of the things if I wish they did, because after doing the research, I'm like going back through it. It would have been nice to have one of the victims dead at the desk, and that postcard sitting on the desk. He saw that in every single crime scene photos, that postcard laying somewhere near the body.
Yeah, that
Because
Oh,
that
has the
postcard brings everybody there.
right.
interesting.
Yeah,
That would
interesting.
be
But they
cool.
didn't. Maybe it's there and I didn't see it, but it's like,
No, I
don't
didn't
know.
see it anywhere.
Anyway,
Glenn. Yeah, I
Yes.
don't know. Yeah, no, go ahead. I think we talked
Okay.
that out.
So this next scene is a big one. I'm going to take him all the way through the meeting and into the room. So feel free to jump in and we'll back up, but we're just going to go for it. All right. Mike arrives at the Dolphin and it's busy and beautifully decorated. At the counter, he's informed he has to speak to the manager. While he's waiting, a bellboy asks Mike if he can take his bag. Mike says no, and the worker politely walks on. Then the manager of the hotel, Gerald Olin, introduces himself and attempts to upgrade him to a larger suite, but Mike is set on 1408. The manager asks to speak to him in his office. Once in private, Gerald tries to dissuade Mike from staying in 1408. He offers Mike a bottle of expensive bourbon, and when that doesn't work, he goes through the room's gruesome and hideous history and how dozens of people have killed themselves inside the room. Between accidents and natural deaths, over 50 people have died in the room. At this time, it's 56 people have died in the room. He tells Mike that the only reason why he's discouraging him is because he doesn't want to clean up the mess that's left behind, and he has no interest in having more people coming to book the room. He's trying to keep people out of the room. He says anyone that stays in 1408 dies, and most people check out and leave within an hour of getting into the room. Gerald gives Mike a folder with all of the cases of death. Mike says he doesn't believe in the ghosts. Gerald finally relents and takes Mike to get the key for 1408. It's a regular old-style brass key. Mike asks why Gerald is not using an electronic key, and he says the cards will not work within the room, and many electronics do not. On the trip up in the elevator, Gerald explains they only clean the room once a month, leaving the door open, going in pairs, and treating it like a biological hazard. When they arrive on the 14th floor, that is actually the 13th floor, Gerald refuses to even get off the elevator. Mike moves down the hallway looking for 1408. At some point, he gets turned around and ends up back at the elevator. He sees a woman entering a room with a baby carriage, and when he reaches the door, he sees 1408. He knocks, and with no answer, he uses the key to open the door. The room completely appears normal, and he puts his bag down with a scoff. So, interestingly enough, the bourbon that Samuel L. gives him is Le 57 DSA, or I don't think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but
Cognac.
it means the 57 deaths. And as of
Yes.
now, there's only been 56 deaths in the room, which
Yes.
means he's the
poisoned them.
57th death. Yeah. So, and also I thought that the line Mike does, hotels are a naturally creepy place. They think, how many people have slept in the bed before you? How many were sick? How many died? Like, that's a line that actually Stephen King wrote for the short story. It's taken straight out of it. And I loved that because it's that liminal space feeling, like, you know, when you're in like a closed mall or something like that. It's the same idea. And I agree. A hotel room is a creepy place sometimes.
Dude, when they break it down like that now, it's like, Jesus, man, I don't want to get into this fucking bed. I don't want to be in this room. It's fucking, God knows
Yeah,
what's
gross.
going on in here. The nasty sex, the dirty ass, just not good. So these interactions between Gerald and Mike, these are epic. These are some of my favorite parts of this entire movie. This whole thing is like, this whole 7 to 10 minute scene is just outrageous. It starts off with them in the lobby where Gerald approaches Mike and he's going to try to talk him out of staying there. And while they're having this little nose to nose conversation, the camera is panning in a circle around them. And I think it makes 2 complete rotations before it ends on a side shot of them again. So they're going around in circles. The camera's going around in circles. It's fucking incredible. And then in the office, they ratchet it up to another level. Like I said earlier, it was a smart choice to show us all the different horrifying images from the room's history in this little folder. It elevates this from a bland ghost story to more of a horror psychological thriller vibe for me anyway. And it raised the stakes for me as the viewer. Because at this point, I'm looking at this stuff through the eyes of Mike and thinking, all right, well, I never saw this in any of the other rooms. Like, guy died in a bowl of soup, fucking, the housekeeper dug her eyes out. This guy's saying that the hotel runs at 90% occupancy. He obviously legitimately does not want me to stay in there. Like, it's raising the stakes. I'm now thinking, maybe you shouldn't stay in there. Maybe you should take the folder and stay in the room next door and whatever. Then we get the addition.
I don't want to be in 1410 either, or 14.6. I'm good. I don't want to be on that floor.
But what's interesting is, all right, we're going to get to it. Hold on. So the addition of the bottle of cognac adds to the list of possibilities now. So now we're going to get another one. Is he drugged? Was he poisoned? This script is tight here. And having Mike walk the circle on the 13th floor, it was really cool because we're going to get as he walks down the first hall, we're going to see the woman put the baby in the room. We're going to see the housekeeper. And the way they shoot this, first they shoot her from behind Mike and she's on his right side. And then they'll change the camera to the other end of the hall and shoot him coming down the hall from the front and she's on his left side. And I mean, it's where she should be, but it's so effective to just like, it's just good. It's not just
disorient you.
Shot of it disorients you. It's not this standard shot of him just walking down one hall from behind. And then they close in on him looking through the fucking horror pages. And now we've kind of lost our way in the hall. And then he winds up back in front of the elevators. And I just thought this was all so clever. And it built this anticipation for him finally going into 1408. Oh, I loved it. Tony, was the woman and the baby and was the housekeeper real? I think they were. I think these are real people.
I think they were. I was hoping they weren't. I was hoping the baby they'd fade, like dissolve Haunted Mansion style, but they didn't. And because we hear the baby later on, it's what brings him back to reality out of his drugged stupor, which is what I feel changed the movie for me. Is like I didn't put that together that he just drugged him to make him actually see the things he was telling him to see.
Right.
The whole 10 minutes was, I'm going to suggest this to you. I know you're not going to say no to me. How do I make this real for you? Here's your LSD in a bottle. Here's the pictures you're going to look at while you're tripping. Thanks for the great review. I'm going to fuck you up now.
Right.
And I'm going to keep you drinking to give you more. And if you survive the overdose, you're going to be fucked up anyway. So here's what we got. The two of them back and forth. I'm not going to say it's on the same level, but man, it's in the same area. Is the De Niro Pacino heat back and forth? They're back and forth in heat. Theirs was like the same intensity, but obviously a different pay scale.
Right.
But man, the two of them bouncing back and forth, volleying. Every no was a yes. Every yes was a no. It's like they just couldn't. No one was getting the advantage. You know he's going to do it. So introducing the 57 deaths, that says everything right there.
Yeah.
Changed the movie for me, made me realize that's what this is. And even if he survived on the beach, this is where the movie changed for me and made it, oh, okay. Because he's seeing things he's never seen before. And what about this room made it so haunted?
Yeah.
We never given a reason. The thing, to touch back, I'm jumping all over the place here because there's so much in this 15 minutes. It's so good. Is the revelation. It was almost like, and the beat that they put in the editing of this, it's like, oh, I know about the 13 deaths. 13. There's been 56.
Right.
What do you mean? We don't talk about these because these are the ones that didn't get the publicity. That moment added such a weight to the scene because you could see in Cusack's face, it's like, oh shit, I might be in over my head. That was the moment he realized, all right, I got to keep my attitude up because I didn't know this, and I know I'm freaked out about this. Yeah. And when he handed him the folder, and he started looking through like, this is real. So Cusack is so emotive. Even in his small actions, it's like he goes from casually flipping to, now I got to get through this. I got to get through this. And his hands are like, the speed picks up, the intensity, the music. It's done so well for such a nothing movie. No one talks about this movie. This is one of those movies like, oh yeah, 14, I liked it. But it doesn't get I don't feel like it's a recognition it really deserves. And I was one of those people before I rewatched it. I'm like, holy shit, I can't wait to show this to people and talk about it more because there's so much to it.
And Tony, in the scene where he says after they do the whole thing and Cusack says, I never got that drink. And it's like this pause. And I'm like, okay, is he like, I know he's going to stay in the room, but they literally got me thinking, is he going to stay in the room? And he goes, I never got that drink. He drinks the drink and he gives him the bottle. He says, thank you, puts his bag. I'm still gonna stay. And then finally, Samuel Jackson loses his cool and is like, fuck, dude, like, knock it off. Oh, it's so fucking good. It's so good. Oh,
Yeah.
and Tony, I think that the maid and the lady with the baby, they are in fact real people. And at this point, they can still see him. He's still there. He's in this universe. He's in this parallel. So I think one of my things is I think that he goes into a parallel universe that is mixing with reality, the universe that he's in when he first comes to the hotel. So I think at this point, he still can be seen by the housekeeper. He can still be seen by the neighbor. He can be heard by everybody. And this is going to last right up to the point where when the engineer comes in the room. And everything after that, I don't want to jump ahead too far, but I was really glad that they could see him and they were real. And there was just enough interaction going on between them, like glances with eyes and stuff, that made me say, okay, this is all still set in reality right now. We're still in reality. So, yeah.
All right. Mike checks the room and finds nothing unusual. Laying down on the bed, he uses his recorder to make some observations. As time passes, Mike gets up to look out the windows. He hears something behind him, and now there's chocolates on his pillow, and somebody has replaced the toilet paper. Believing somebody is in the room with him, he searches but finds no one. Next, he realizes that the room is getting very hot. He calls the front desk and complains, and they say they'll send someone right up. After a little bit, a mechanic arrives at the door, and Mike tells him to come in and fix the thermostat, but the man refuses, saying there's no way he's entering 1408. Instead, he walks him through how to fix it from the open door. Mike thanks him, but by the time he turns around to look at him, he's already gone. I loved this guy. He is like, no fucking way am I stepping foot in that room. He does not give a shit. He is not stepping in that room. He's like, I will just tell you how to fix it.
Yeah. So this phone call that Mike has with the front desk, this is his last interaction with a real person that's working at the hotel.
Yeah.
On the phone anyway. So at this point, he's still talking to a desk worker. This is where Cusack basically is going to go solo in the movie. And handled by a lesser actor, this movie would have fallen apart here. It just wouldn't have worked. Like, I've seen a couple of movies like this, like maybe one with Robert Redford stranded on a boat. Tom Hanks stranded on an island. Like, you've got to have an actor with big chops to fill shoes like this for another hour and fucking like an hour and 30 minutes, whatever it is. He's on fire. We're going to get this shift from Mike here, from being cocky in the room to being amused, to being concerned, to being terrified, and then ultimately completely unhinged. And this John Cusack at his best. When he looks out the window into the busy New York City street, this is a powerful scene for me because I'm lulled into a feeling of safety because he doesn't feel trapped by the room yet. It feels like he's surrounded by a million people in the big city right outside the window. He could yell for help at any time. What could go wrong? And after a few strange happenings, we see Mike. This is such a great scene for me because he has played this character so monotoned up till right now. And after a few strange happenings, Cusack starts playing it almost euphoric. Like, he gets excited. Like, you start to see him get amped up. Like, oh my God, this is it. You see a fucking ghost. Like, this could be real. and now we're going to get a little life out of Cusack. And he's going to play this character completely differently. And he's now going to ditch this monotoned, condescending, kind of like bored with life, melancholy thing. And now he's finally onto it. He's finally got a sniff of the paranormal when he might be on the edge of finding what he's been searching for. And I really love it. I love this line he delivers. All right, let's get Encyclopedia Brown on this shit, And I'm like, okay, here we go. And again, the choice to show the horror under the blue light, really good. It's adding horror to this movie. It's adding shocking images to this movie. And it's what keeps this from just being a boring ghost story. And I think after the engineer leaves, and I love this engineer. I'm not going in there. I know where it is. It's so good. You feel the danger and I'm screaming, leave, like just go. And he doesn't. And this is the very last person that can actually see Mike. This is the last interaction with a real person in this movie. I think, period. I don't think he ever meets another real person. I think as soon as the door closes, that's it. He's now entered a parallel universe. No matter how much he bangs on the walls, the lady next door cannot hear him. When he calls the front desk, he's going to get he's talking to the hotel. When he's talking to his wife on Skype, he's talking to the hotel. And the hotel is able to manipulate the entire thing to the point where he's actually taking on the role as Mike. This is all great. This is all fucking great shit. Tony, go ahead.
He's losing his mind.
This is what happens when you take a fucking gummy and then like get into it. Like I was like, I'm gonna take a gummy. I'm gonna watch this movie. I'm gonna break this shit down. I'm prepared tonight.
So what you're saying is that you were totally sober beforehand, being all monotone, and all of a sudden you took a gummy and you were drugged, and everything started to get animated. Exactly my point of the scene.
Yes.
All the drugs from the drink kicked in. He started seeing weird shit. Everything started going weird. Oh, I'm sweating. What happens when you get high? I'm fucking hot, man. Turn the fucking heat on this bitch. No, that's what happens. It's like it's all reaction to the drugs that are going through his system, and he keeps drinking and adding more drugs and more drugs, and then the hallucinations get more and more intense to the fact he's now feeling things. He's cold. The water's coming in. He's crawling through vents that aren't there. The man never leaves his bed.
Yes. Oh,
that's
Tony,
the thing.
So is it possible that like if somebody walked into this room, they would just see him laying in the bed, or he's not there at all?
No, he's there. He's in the room, drugged out of his mind, going through the motions that are in his head. He might be crawling, but he's crawling in on his bed. He's crawling around the room.
Yeah, like
if
I
someone
agree.
Walked in, he would be like a guinea pig.
Yeah, I agree. Because later, when she says the police are already there and you're not, the room is empty. That's the hotel telling him that. That is not. Yeah, that's not reality.
I mean, great line. That's terrifying. Because if we do go, this is a haunted place. That you're stuck in an alternate reality. Like I said, your reality of this is a terrifying one. Mine is just a drug-induced haze from this point on, which I was along for the ride of either one. But depending on if you thought he lived off the surf thing, two, if you thought he was drugged or not, another branch. Either way, all of these fucking roads are enjoyable.
And
that's the best part about the movie.
Yeah, that's the fun, is you're juggling all these different possibilities of the plot, but it doesn't feel wishy-washy and like it doesn't start to lose my attention because I'm enjoying all the different possibilities.
I mean, towards the end, it got too, there's no way this, I understand, like, with the waves and the room flooding and he's all of a sudden stuck at sea with his ship. That's where I started to fall off.
See,
but then once the drugs were introduced, everything was on. I'm fine. I'm along for this roller coaster ride now.
Oh, I thought that was so fucking clever when the ocean spills into the room out of the painting and then it brings us back to the beach and the accident. It was so seamless and so good. Oh, I loved it. Okay, let's roll on.
You ready to roll on there, kid?
I am. I'm talking myself into a perfect score here. Let's keep going.
Oh my goodness gracious. All right. Mike sits back down and drinks some bourbon just as the clock radio turns on by itself, playing We've Only Just Begun loudly by the Carpenters. The clock in the room, he notices, has even begun a countdown from 60 minutes. Initially, this doesn't bother Mike much, but as the events continue, he becomes more and more terrified. Mike hears a high-pitched tingling and becomes deaf temporarily. Leaning out the window to see if he can hear the traffic, his hand is crushed by the window falling on it. He runs to the bathroom and puts his hand under the cool tap, only to have steaming hot water spray out on him. He bandages his hand with a bandana from his bag. Then the clock radio again turns on by itself, playing the same song. Mike yanks it out of the wall, and the clock is still counting down. The telephone rings, and Mike tells him that he's ready to leave. He wants to check out, and the woman acts oblivious, and Mike asks for the manager before the phone goes dead. So Mike decides to make a run for it, but he can't get the door open. Back in the bedroom, he starts seeing apparitions jumping out the window. Looking out the window, he sees a man in the room across the street and begins to signal to him that he needs help. The man gets up and starts to mimic Mike. He holds a lamp up to the face, and so does the man across the street. And it's Mike. He then sees a figure with a knife approaching the mirror vision of him across the street. Mike turns around and is attacked by the same hideous figure that eventually vanishes. Mike throws the lamp out the window, trying to get people's attention, but it just vanishes as well. This thing with him across the street, this probably freaked me out the most out of the entire movie. Like, so creepy. So like, and it just goes to show you that this room has complete control over everything. You're probably not even seeing outside anymore, really. Like that's probably fake outside, you know?
Yeah. So
Room
this is where
outside.
the terror starts for me. And this movie is scary to me because when we finally get, I don't want to jump ahead. So this is where the terror starts. The countdown from 1 hour. This is so Twilight Zone. This is like an old Twilight Zone episode. It's so clever. I fucking love this because I used to love watching these old Twilight Zones. The director is going to add some blood from Mike's hand, which is so smart because he's going to wipe it on the fucking white shower curtain. It makes for a great visual. It's upping the stakes again. He's now injured. It's going to be on the blood, on the towel, on the sink when we get these split scenes between two rooms. It's really, really good. So the scene with the man across the street, it never looked like Mike to me. It looked like somebody else to me. And as he's, at first he's not copying his moves. At first he's just sitting down.
Right.
Then he starts mimicking every single move. But in the other room, the guy is smoking a cigarette. Mike's not smoking a cigarette. It's a different lamp. It's a new modern lamp. Mike is holding an old lamp. So again, is this Mike in a parallel universe? He's smoking. He looks a little different. He's across the street. I don't know. It's so good. And then when he gets fucking bum rushed by this maniac, oh, this scares the shit out of me every time I see it, even though I know it's coming. The weird plastic face on this guy. It's so fucking scary. Yeah, this whole little thing here. Oh, I just think it's really good. Tony, were you scared?
Yeah. Because it amps up so quickly. That's the best part about it. It's like as soon as the clock starts, any kind of countdown in any kind of movie, it adds tension because like what's going to happen when we get to zero? We don't know. He was told no one lasts more than an hour. He laughs at it. He scoffs at it. Then the radio comes on, and it's the small things that checkbox haunted house, checkbox haunted house, checkbox haunted house. You're going through them all, except it feels different in this movie. And I tried to figure out why. It's like, because I went back going like, none of that isn't anything that hasn't been done in like 4 other movies. But the fact it all happens rapid fire. It takes like 2.5 minutes for all of these things to happen. Usually like one will happen, you go in a half hour. They interact with somebody else. This is literally in the same room, boom, 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 boom. And once the guy bum rushes him, like it's one thing to see a ghost jump out. It's like, all right, we're seeing the repeating patterns of the room. Nothing scary about that. Then it rushes at him. It's like, all right, well, we upped the ante. Now it can be physical to him.
Yeah.
It even though he kind of falls off to the side, it did affect him. So it's like, all right, all bets are off. He can be hurt. Then he's like, all right, I'm out of here. Good, great. That's what any normal person would do. Because that's the things in movies that bother me are when people don't act like normal people. It's like,
Yes.
what is it going to take me to see or hear to make me leave a hotel room? Honestly, the clock going to 60 would have been the first thing. All right, fuck this. I'm out. I'm good. Because if I unplugged it and the shit's still working, I'd look for a battery panel. If there's no battery panel, all right, I'm done. You win.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just that 3 to 4 minute boom, boom, boom. Great. Well done. It ups the whole scale of, we went from it might be spooky to, or it's spooky to, or it's threatening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was what was really good. And the fact that he's like, nope, packs his shit up, grabs it, tries to get out the door, can't get out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the key's breaking off in the lock, and he's looking through it. And is this the point where he looks through the people and he sees the eye looking back at him? Or is that later?
That's a little later.
Yeah, that's also very, for me, that's no thank you.
What's really impressive about this, so these scares are the physical scares, right? But they haven't even started coming at us yet with the psychological scares. So, by the end of this movie, you're thinking, I couldn't do another hour of this. Like, Tony, imagine if it was like they're praying. Because when I remembered this movie back before I watched it today, I was like, I remember thinking the dad and the daughter thing dragged on and maybe didn't fit in the movie. But then I realized the room is preying on his darkest fears. Like things that would just gut him to his absolute core.
because if it can't give him a heart attack because he's a healthy man, it's got to do something else to make him. What's going to make him kill himself? What's going to make him die in this room? He's
Yeah.
going to have to feel such sorrow and regret and sadness. He's going to kill himself. He's
Yeah.
going to be the ice. He's going to be the wrist slicer.
Yeah,
know?
like
Yeah.
some of this.
Which is why in the bathroom you saw the blood. I thought it was going to be foreshadowing. He's going to cut his wrist in the tub. Like, I
Yeah.
thought that
Right.
early on in the movie, once they introduced the fact that there's definitely something going on emotionally with him, I thought it was going to drive him to that. And it didn't even tease that, which kind of bummed me out that I wasn't right on that aspect. But,
But
everything
that's
else we got was
good.
fun.
That's good though that it got you, it
Misdirection.
misdirected you. And that again, this whole thing, like when he's holding his daughter and she's falling to ashes in his arms, like it's so terrifying. It's such a psychological level. It's scary. It's scary. And it starts to wear you out of being in this room. Go ahead.
Yeah. And the Carpenters song, I mean,
So good.
what a great choice, because it's such a lovely song about love and loving somebody else, and just, oh God. And like when you think about it, preying on the thing with his daughter, only just begun to live. She's dead. Like,
Yeah.
like, wow. Like, it was a really well chosen song. And then of course they do the thing where her voice starts, and it's like that makes it even creepier. So it's like,
Anytime they do that, anytime they slow something
And
down.
then another undertone that we get here when they introduce the father and the craziness, which you keyed me into a little earlier, is maybe he's just fucking crazy now.
or he's getting dementia or something.
Yeah, who knows? It's so
You
good.
never know.
So, all right, let's keep rolling.
All right. Mike is now convinced that he is hallucinating. He thinks that Gerald might have dosed him with bourbon or chocolates, which he ate the chocolates after he had already seen things, but okay. Suddenly, the TV in the room turns on. What appears to be a home movie with Mike and his wife and daughter comes on. Mike is visibly sad seeing this memory. The TV turns itself off, and then he hears a baby crying next door. He bangs on the wall, asking for help, but there is no response. The baby's cries get louder and louder until it's deafening. Mike falls to the floor and throws the chair at the wall, and the noise finally dissipates. This is now when Mike really knows he's got to get out of here. He's got to escape. Honey, this is the first time you see his daughter, and you key in immediately what's going on here. This is the turning point because now you understand what's actually going on with him.
But they still slow play the origin story here of the family.
Oh yeah, I mean they're not showing you that she's passed at this point.
Yeah, but eventually they will.
But he's so sad seeing her. You get a clue something's up.
And what's so ingenious about this scene is they're showing us an upbeat kind of happy scene with the family, maybe before the child is sick. But Cusack is showing such pain and sorrow. Oh man, this is why Cusack should have won an award for this movie. Because the yin and the yang, the sweet and the salty on this scene just tastes so good to me as a viewer. It's just really, really working. And Mike is now going to introduce the possibility that he's been drugged by the fucking cognac and the chocolates. And there's another fucking possibility I'm juggling in all these possibilities. And I'm looking for fucking Easter eggs. Which one is right? Which one? I don't know. I love it all. Tony.
No, that's you nailed everything I was going to say in the scene. It's just we're introduced to the family aspect. We're introduced to, all right, so he was happy at one point because we haven't seen that up to this point. And it connected. It was the final dot that connected all the dots of everything we were wondering before. All right, what happened to this man? Did something happen? And even though we don't get the reveal of, we get that later, of the obviously the daughter's past. He had a family. Something bad happened. Now we know why he's the cynical prick that he is.
Right.
Like something here broke him. The room's picking it out. The room's slowly torturing it with him. We're gonna find out. But we've only just begun.
Yeah.
And what I love is that, we're also going to be led to believe that everybody's experience is different in this room because the room is able to prey on your darkest fears.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes.
An hour in hell is different for everybody, which is great, So, yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So this part fucked me up. I find this totally freaky. Mike makes a plan to traverse the small ledge outside and get back into the building through another room's window. He says into his recorder that if he slips and falls, it was an accident, not him jumping. He starts his journey only to realize there are no windows anywhere in sight. Terrified, he works his way back and gets into the room. The room shows him a scene from his past where his wife and he are distraught by their daughter's illness. As that scene disappears, the walls begin to crack and bleed. The room begins to disorient him, and when Mike finally recovers from this event, he finds the room around him has physically changed appearance. The windows are now covered over with white brick, preventing him from looking out. The entire room is bathed in a powerful white light, and the temperature has dropped. The scene with him out on the ledge, and they back way up, and you see just, oh my God, it's like that. So powerful. And well, powerful scene, but you feel powerless because here he is clinging to the side with a little ledge on his toes, and there's nowhere to go. It fucked me up. It was something else.
And we get this look at the floor map, and it's a great setup with this killer fucking payoff where I'm just like, I'm in my room like, nicely done. Nicely done. This fucking floor map when it's just, you are here. It's just a red dot in the room. Oh, yeah. Fuck if I didn't love that. So the brick window when he's outside and he realizes there's no windows and he's on this ledge and we get, like you said, the pullback shot. It's making New York City feel claustrophobic. He is trapped. He's going nowhere but back in the room or down. Outside does not exist for Mike now. His whole world is inside this room. It's so powerful. It's so good. And then what I thought was maybe one of the weak points of the movie becomes one of the strongest. This performance during the family fucking flashback. It's so powerful. McCormick is great. The daughter's great. The acting is top notch. She's actually, the actress McCormick, she was actually pregnant during shooting of this movie. So we're never going to see her from the waist down throughout the entire movie, which I thought was kind of interesting.
You remember her from Private Parts, right?
Yes, she was the wife.
That's. I was like, where have I seen her? Private Parts.
Yeah. And then at the end, Cusack fucking suggests he may be dreaming. So again, yet another fucking, when was I sleeping last? Where did I eat last? And he starts like kind of
what did
like
I have
trying
for breakfast?
Doing the checklist, and I'm like, oh, that's so good. And then he goes over and he sees this cracked wall bleeding. And it's such a dream sequence looking shot. Like, this just feels like a dream sequence. And then I'm like, oh, maybe he is dreaming. Maybe he's in LA right now, asleep. Who the fuck knows? It's so good, Tony.
It's drugs. He's just drugged. And everything is, that's telling you, seeing that, picking that up early on changed the movie. Walking through everything that happens to him, it's like the walls weren't breathing. They were bleeding. The windows weren't, showing me colors. They just weren't there. It's all the stereotypical drug stories you hear, like, oh, my friend was melting in front of me. No, your friend was just sweating. It's fine. It's like everything he's experiencing are stereotypical drug stories you get. And everybody's like, I mean, you get somebody with too many drinks in them. I love you, man. I miss you. Remember our buddy? It's like all the emotions come out. It's drugs.
Yeah, and also when he first walks into the room, he says, "Where are the rivers of blood?" And now the wall's bleeding, and also that you get that shot of the bloody water coming out of the sink. So it's almost like he set himself up to think these things.
Yeah, it's what he's placeboing himself.
He thinks you should see. Yeah, psychosomatic, completely.
He's creating his own dream right now. He's creating his own hell.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, if we were going to go that route, I'm sure, Tony, there's another alternate ending, that proves he was drugged. He wakes up in the morning, head pounding, the bottle's empty next to him. Everything's fine. I mean, I don't know.
As he's being taken out in a stretcher because he died from the overdose because he drank the whole bottle. It's Samuel L. Jackson going back into his office and opening up one of his drawers, and we see the bottle of the strange bottle that he has to now get rid of. It's like
something good.
Either way.
Yeah, there's something good there. Okay, let's keep going.
Mike hears a sound in the bathroom, and when he goes in it, there's an old man in a wheelchair there. Mike realizes this man is his father. His father smiles and tells Mike that soon Mike will be driven insane just like him. Frightened, he tries his cell phone and laptop to connect to somebody on the outside. He manages to get a video signal through to his wife, Lily. She's annoyed to be hearing from him after he took off on her, and she's at work. And she also realizes that he's in New York and didn't tell her that he was coming. He begs her to send the police to where he is, saying that he's very, very much in trouble. Suddenly, the sprinkler system turns on and short circuits Mike's laptop, breaking their connection. But not before he tells her where he is, that he's at the Dolphin in 1408. So I don't know if he actually spoke to her. I mean, according to the movie, she comes and she's outside. So maybe at some point, but if he did actually speak to her, it's only because the room allowed him to do so.
Yeah, but at this point, I feel like this whole movie is a unreliable narrator. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Like, it has to be. She's not, I don't know, man. It doesn't feel like this is his real wife to me. The way she's acting, you know, I don't know. We get the payoff with the father here. It's powerful. I mean, maybe a little more for me because I have a crazy father. So I don't know. And the Skype call, it's fucking great with Lily. And I think that he's talking to the room, and it's just it's all such a mind fuck. And I personally, as a viewer, am starting to get worn out by this room, worn down by this room, needing a break from this fucking room. I'm feeling what he's feeling. It's the director really did a nice job of painting this picture for me. Tony.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just impressed that they didn't just have the laptop short out on its own, because they could have. A haunted room can do whatever it wants. The fact he turned the sprinkler system on, I'm like, that's fucking genius. That was good. Like, that gives it's a real life situation, because that's maybe what he did. You know, and again, looking for what real life things happening in the room would make the hallucination seem more intense.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're trying to drive somebody in a room crazy, what better way to soak them down? Now you're wet.
Yeah, you're uncomfortable. We're going to turn down the thermostat. We're going to freeze you out. You're soaking wet. You're frozen. We've blocked the windows on you. It's like everything is there. But again, Cusack carrying the movie.
Yeah.
Slowly. I can't even say slowly because he went downhill fast. He jumped on roller skates with a rocket on his back, and he's like now going to fuck all territory. You know.
He did, and like I said, that contrast we get between this and the first 20 minutes of the movie just really worked for me.
Yeah, this is when the desperation is kicked in.
Oh,
He's talking fast. He's mumbling over himself. He's just trying to get connection, and he can't.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, so seeing little other option, Mike crawls up into the ductwork above the room. Moving through the ducts, he sees scenes from his life that he's not particularly proud of. He comes across what he thinks is a dead body, but it's an old man that starts chasing him through the ducts until he falls back into 1408. He finds the temperature has now dropped again, and the room is completely covered in snow. Mike looks through the keyhole and sees just a wall. Freezing, Mike burns broken furniture and the case file of people that died in 1408. He has flashbacks to being with his daughter right before she died, and then how broken both he and Lily were after her death. Deciding he wants a drink, he opens the minibar and finds Gerald inside, a little mini Gerald. Mike is furious at him, but Gerald says he gave Mike every chance to pass on staying in 1408. He says there is a reason why people believe in this sort of thing, for the glimmer of hope that there is really something beyond death. Gerald disappears and the regular contents of the minibar reappear. I loved this because he's full on hallucinating at this point. I mean, he's seeing little mini Gerald inside the fucking mini fridge.
Literally fucking Eraserhead. She just needs to step on sperms and we're all fucking back to Eraserhead. It totally proves the drug part of it. Yeah.
So this whole section of the movie for me is again just really good directing, because we're going to get a small chunk here of comic relief. So I needed this. I needed to just okay, let's have a little fun here, but we're going to still keep it scary, but we're going to kind of move here from real psychological terror to sort of creep show. So I love these memories as he crawls through the ductwork. It's very like modern day Twilight Zone, seeing these little scenes play out underneath in these different rooms, which lead outside, like with the father and whatnot. Really good. Mm-hmm. And then we get the zombie corpse chasing him. This is so creep show. It's so funny. It's borderline satire. but I'm having so much fun while he's being chased through these fucking duck things. And you see the zombie kind of shuffling through and then comes to the cross section. And I'm totally on board with it. And then it wraps up with this mini bar scene. This is the best acting Cusack does in the entire movie. He is completely unhinged. He's playing it so well. This little tiny Sam Jackson, this whole thing feels so The Shining to me without being a ripoff. It just has that flavor. And I just love all of these scenes tied together. I think it really works. Tony?
This is where the movie originally started to lose me because it was so outrageous and went so off the rails and went so cheesy. Because I felt it went cheesy. I felt it was a good haunted house, good haunted room story. Up until now, we're adding snow. We're having corpses chase them through the ductwork. It's like that. It's one. If the room is haunted, let's stay in the room. If it's the hotel now doing it, now where you're changing the unit. My rule about change. Here's the rules I've set up.
Changing the rule.
But now we're going to change the rule. It's the hotel fucking with you. That's why I think he's drugged. He's still on his bed, crawling around. I'm in ductwork. No, you're on the fucking bed.
Yes.
So that and just the corpse makeup they made for this was like 95% looked almost exactly like Bill Murray's boss in Scrooged.
Yes.
I kept waiting for the golf ball to come out of his head. So it's like it took me out of the scene. I'm like, that's the same fucking makeup as Scrooge. It's like it bothered me to the point it was so close it bothered me. Took me out of the scene, and I'm like, oh fuck this. And it literally took me out of the movie.
Yeah,
for my scene.
Yeah, for my girlies that understand this, it basically looked like he was just covered in too much dry shampoo. Like he went too many days without a wash.
Yeah. It didn't do it for me.
You know, I'd be fine cutting the scene from the movie. It would make the movie, it would definitely condense it down and make it, it was out of character for the movie. Can we agree on that? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll agree with that.
Yeah, I would take the ductwork out, but I would keep the thing in with little mini Sam Jackson because I liked it.
Yeah, no, oh, dude, the thing
it's
with
in the room. I'm fine with that. I was good with that scene.
Yeah, and I would have even been fine. You know what, Tony, you're right. I would have even been fine with him getting out of the room in the ductwork, but I just thought that the campiness of the Scrooge boss, you're right, it went over the top. You've talked me off the ledge there. Okay. Couple
All
points
right.
off.
Mike is finally ready to give up when he hears his wife on his laptop again contacting him. He runs over to it and tells her if she sent the police. Oh, asks her. I don't know why it says tells her. Asks her if she sent the police to 1408. His wife says the police are actually in 1408 and it's empty. A fake Mike appears on the screen and convinces Lily to come to the hotel, though Mike himself is screaming at her not to come. He realizes the room is now luring Lily there to trap her too. The room's paranormal activity is reaching its pinnacle. The entire room starts coming alive, even the pictures on the wall. One of the pictures, a scene of a ship in a violent storm, begins pouring water into the room. Soon the entire room is gone, and Mike is trapped underwater, and above him sees a light being emitted from the surface. As he swims towards it, he comes up and realizes he's no longer in 1408. He's back on the beach from the beginning of the film. Mike then comes to in a hospital in L.A. Lily is there. He explains that he had a vivid dream of going to New York and staying in room 1408 at the Dolphin Hotel. After he's discharged, they go to a restaurant, and his wife is telling Mike how the dream must have been a metaphor he concocted based on the events of his life. Lily suggests he writes a book based on the experience, and he decides to do some research. The victims he had found before on that microfiche have now died in other places. Mike writes the book and decides to mail a copy to his agent. At the post office, he suddenly notices the man at the counter is not the usual guy. It's actually the bellboy he met at the Dolphin. Mike turns around and sees some guys working on the wall behind him, and they too are workers from the Dolphin. Suddenly, they all begin tearing down the walls of the post office, and behind them is 1408. Mike never got out. Ooh. Now,
Nice.
honestly, you could have ended the movie here, and I would have been okay with it.
Totally. I was hoping it was the first time. So I remember thinking this is where it should have ended.
Yeah. You could have ended it there, and I would have been fine with that.
So I start feeling Stephen King's fingerprints on this again, as this really feels like the end of Misery. You should write a book about your experience. I will, just really good. We get the second Skype call, again, the ante is raised here again, because now the the room is impersonating him and making him watch as, he's luring his ex-wife to, be doomed in the room with him. Like I said earlier, the transition between swimming in the room and back in the accident at the beach, seamless, effective. I loved it. And this moment, even though I knew he wasn't really out, I started feeling relief that the movie wasn't in room 1408 anymore, that I wasn't in room 1408 with Mike anymore. And I was really enjoying the breathy air of these shots as his life is good now. He's, his wife is visiting him in California. He's writing this book. He seems happy. He's making peace with things. And I really love this while knowing in the back of my mind that we were going to go back to room 1408 eventually. And that's why I was fine with this scene in the post office not being the final scene. Really great. The build up to going back to room 1408 was perfect. I felt like it was effective. It was just what the director wanted me to feel, and I felt every bit of it. Thought it was great.
I thought it did well. Like you said, if it ended right as the walls are coming down, pull back, it's just him sitting in 1408 by himself, cut to black, I would have been good. The fact it kept going, like, all right, I'm not cool with just more survival. How are we going to do it? Because we've already been through that. I felt like I felt like we just hit rewind and like now we got to go through it again. All right, it didn't. I felt like at that point it didn't ratchet up more. What I would have liked to have happen again, because I do this as we've discussed many times. Where would I have liked it going? I would have liked all of a sudden the laptop comes to life. His wife is calling him. I'm stuck in 1408. Where are you? She's in her reality of 1408, stuck there. He's in his reality of 1408, stuck there. Another window pops up. It's another stranger. I'm stuck in 1408 too. Where are you? And all of a sudden the screen starts filling with hundreds of people stuck in 1408 in their realities.
That's fun in different parallel universes.
Different parallel universes.
I like it. It's fun.
No.
Well, and all right, since we're writing new endings, I got a quick one. The walls come down in the post office and it shows Mike in the room. And what does he do? He looks over at the wall. He sees scratched in the wall, burn me alive. He takes the last of the cognac, puts the fucking rag in it, lights it on fire, throws it at the wall, fade to black. It would work. It would be effective. So I think what we're all saying is this should have been the end of the movie.
Anything that brings in the emotional part after the physical part doesn't always work for me. The emotional part should lead up to the physical, not the physical to the emotional. It's Agreed. A down step. It makes you feel more, it doesn't escalate, it de-escalates the situation. So even though it tears your heart out when you watch his daughter and he has that, and it does, we do get the fire in the long run, I feel it's a down step in the way the movie went. It's an epilogue, not a conclusion.
Yeah, I agree. I will forgive the writer only because he really swings for the fences for the daughter here. I mean, he's going for it. Daddy, you don't love me. I do love you. And, all of this. It's
almost a little cheap.
It's a lot cheap. It's like,
the only way this could have been better is if it had been like his German Shepherd. Then it would have really killed me,
All right. Let's go for it. So 1408 is in ruins, but Mike is still there. The clock is ticking. Mike's daughter appears. He resists her initially, but eventually hugs her. She dies again in his arms because now we're just looking to kick puppies. The clock radio starts blaring The Carpenters again, and in his shock, Mike jumps and his daughter's body turns to ash and crumbles in his arms. Furious, Mike smashes everything in the room, then watches his last seconds of the hour count down on the clock. He wakes on the floor in an unruined 1408. The clock resets the hour and starts again. So again, we've only just begun. This will be a nightmare without end. The phone rings and the front desk asks him, "Do you want early checkout?" As nooses start appearing around the room, and he sees a vision of an open grave next to his daughters. The telephone rings again and the operator says, "Your wife will be here soon and we'll be sure to send her right up. Just remember, there is no escape." Mike picks up the bottle of bourbon and puts a cloth in it. He lights it and throws it at the wall. The room erupts into flames. Lily arrives but is not allowed inside because fire. Meanwhile, we see Mike back in 1408 smiling and laughing, knowing that he's beat the room, even if it means his own death. He crawls under a table as the room is engulfed in flames around him. So I'm pausing here because this is where we wrap into two different endings. So in one ending, Mike is saved by firemen, goes and lives with Lily, and at some point they listen to the recorder, and Lily hears the voice in one and doesn't in the other of the daughter. The other ending is they're at the gravesite. It's Mike's funeral. They're putting him in the ground, and Gerald approaches the wife and tries to give him a box of his possessions, which includes the recorder. And she won't take it. And so he keeps it, and he starts listening to it in the car, and he hears the daughter's voice, and it scares him because he realizes that it was real because he hears the voice. He looks in his rearview mirror, and Mike is all like in the backseat, like all burnt and stuff.
I've never seen this ending.
Yeah, it was great. I liked this way better than the other one.
Shit.
Yep, and then he drives off, and
Yeah.
at the end, you just see the gutted room, like you can see the two windows burnt out at the on the outside of the building, with an apparition of Mike smoking a cigarette at the window, and he hears his daughter calling him, and he goes to join her. So he basically is dead, but he's gone to join his daughter. He beat the room.
So that's my favorite ending because it is, like I said, it has such the Shining essence to it. You know, Jack dies. He's now part of the fucking hotel forever. It's really good with other ghosts that have died in the room and, and his daughter. It's just, I don't know. It's good. The other ending where the wife hears the daughter, also satisfying. I'm okay with it. It's satisfying. The one where she doesn't hear the daughter, that is unsatisfying for me. Not happy with that ending. So the ending I saw is the one I want. The graveyard scene. It also has a quick scene like you had alluded to where Samuel Jackson looks in the rearview mirror and sees Mike all glorified in the back seat. This is David from An American Werewolf in London, where he comes back and, he's all gored out and trying to explain you have to kill yourself now, you're a werewolf. It just gave me that vibe. So to get those two great movies, a saison of those two great movies, a nutty Edam cheese, I love this ending. This is the one I wish they had gone with, but I wish that they had wrapped it up early when Tony said, and we could have had one of our alternate endings. So, yeah, great stuff. Tony, talk about the ending.
I got the one ending because my fucking DVD didn't do a goddamn thing. So I just got the one where the wife does hear the daughter on the recorder. And again, that just goes into cheese for me. It's I didn't like it. I don't want that. My biggest problem with haunted house movies are, I'd say 85% of them are like, oh, well, we solved the murder of the girl and now everything's happy and the ghosts are happy and they're not going to bother. No, I like angry ghosts. I like Hill House ghosts. I want ghosts that are going to terrorize you. They have no conscience. That they want to harm you. Those are my scary ones. Fucking the Hell House series. We're going to do a Hell House movie on this one of these times. I want to hear your reaction to these.
I don't know if I'm ready for that cheese.
these movies fucking they got some scares to them. I'm telling you.
That's Art the Clown, right?
No, that's Terrifier.
That looks good to me. I'm afraid to watch it, but
no, those are a different level. No, Hell House is a haunted hotel movie.
Oh, okay.
Like 5 friends buy this hotel to set up a haunted theme for Halloween, and it turns out there's more there than they thought it was going to be there.
Gotcha.
It's got the scares that are subtle that make them more terrifying. It's like hey, 2 people are talking in the background, a head moves on one of the mannequins.
Nice.
Those, if you miss it, whatever. But if you see it, fucking terrifying. Hence why I have the clown in my basement right now. But that's a different discussion later.
I wish you had seen the ending we saw.
I do. I'm going to go check it on YouTube after this, and I'll comment on a fucking podcast. But just I don't like sappy haunted house endings. I don't like happy wrap 'em up endings. The others was a perfect ending because it was fucking tragic, and it made you want to cry. And it's like, but it makes sense. This, I'm going to pull on your heartstring. No, I don't want that. I don't want my scary movies to make me tear up. Fuck you.
Right.
Give me scary. give me American Werewolf in London in the back seat of Samuel Jackson's car. I'll take that any day.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to watch that after the we
and a great ending in American Werewolf in London, where he's fucking dead human form.
Yeah.
All right. let's recast this bitch.
All right.
Okay. Geez, Cusack was so good. I don't think mine isn't really great, but it would cheapen the movie because, in my opinion, he's not as good of an actor. Little one note, but I would replace Cusack with Keanu Reeves. I mean, it works.
No.
Tony, what do you got?
I sat on this one for that's my favorite thing to do now is this recasting thing because you get me so excited about it. And I couldn't only because I couldn't figure out. I'm going to go cheesy. I wanted to replace Cusack, but you can't. There's no man that could hold up to him because I mean, no one in that generation. Because I wanted to stick to the same '80s, same '80s characters, but like, what do I got? Nicolas Cage, I got Christian Slater, I got Tom Cruise. None of them would do this fucking justice. Nicolas Cage would have done that Unhinged, but that's it. So I'm thinking I wanted to switch the sexes. I wanted to have it be a mother. I want to have a woman going through this.
I like it.
And of course, Joan Cusack is the fucking obvious choice, but she's known for comedies, and I don't think that would work. So I was trying to think of what females in the '80s could pull this off, and I still couldn't figure out anybody except for maybe the Jennifer Jason Leigh from The Hitcher.
Oh, yeah.
I would actually like to see because she could pull off all those things. We saw it in Hateful Eight. She went through the crazy, she went through the hysterical laughing, went through the serious, went through the drama, went through the terror. So that would be the only. But she was too young at this time, I think. So I couldn't do it. But again, that was the closest I could come to. I wanted to switch the sex of it and make it a female that goes through this because we don't see a lot of females in that type of role. I think it would be really interesting to do that.
I like where you went with it, but I think that Nicolas Cage, like I'm almost like, I should have had that. Like Nicolas Cage has this all day. Nicolas Cage has this all day. Maybe not quite as good as Cusack, but he's got this.
It would have been it would have definitely been more over the top and a little campy if it was Cage.
I don't know though. Look at him.
It would be wild. It would be Wild at Heart.
You
would just literally be Wild at Heart.
Pretty good.
Look at him at fucking To Live in. Oh no, what's the one where he's an alcoholic?
Fear and Loathing.
Fear and Loathing Las Vegas. I mean, he could do it.
He can't. I'm not saying he can't. He doesn't have the acting chops. Not at all. The man is fucking awesome in everything he does. But I think in this role, they wouldn't have been able to reel him in.
Yeah,
to do the calm pot. What happened there?
Calm
hearts.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Calm pots. Yeah,
I don't think kid.
Yeah, wicked pizza.
So what do you got on this casting couch there?
Okay, so I would recast John Cusack with Johnny Depp. Because I think he could do it. Because he did, what was that, Rear Window or whatever, or Secret Window or something?
Yeah,
The Seventh Sign where he's...
He could have done it.
The Ninth Gate.
The Ninth Gate.
Yeah,
that's the one
Ninth
I was
Gate,
Seventh Sign Demi Moore.
Yeah,
yes.
No, Ninth Gate. Oh, one of my favorites. I've watched that
so
movie
that,
a million
I would replace
times.
him, and then I would replace the wife with Naomi Watts. So you have Naomi Watts and Johnny Depp.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, Delaney, you gonna win
I think
this
that
week.
Wins. That wins.
Johnny Depp is the correct answer, as we say. Okay. All right, perfect. Okay. So let's do some final thoughts and a rewatch score. I will get us started. So I've owned this movie forever. I love it. Huge Cusack fan. I particularly love his performance in this and in High Fidelity. Great psychological terror. My score was a little higher until we got to the end of the movie. Tony, I got to ding it for the fucking zombie and the duck work. And I have to ding it for going on about 15 minutes too long. I did like the ending I got. Unfortunately, it's not the ending that people in movie theaters saw. I think that's a mistake. So for me, this is going to be 4.57. It's a very good movie. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
All right, Tony, what do you think?
Me?
Yeah.
I have owned this movie for a long time, too. Apparently, I should have opened it before this week, but apparently, whatever. Huge John Cusack fan. I mean, there's no one in this movie that I'm not a fan of. I like everybody in this movie. And I like the movie a lot better this time through. Watching it as, I don't know, I'm always going to say an older person and a more mature person, but I don't know if that's accurate. I'll give it a straight even 4 because I can't wait to show this to people now. If you asked me last year before I did this, I would have said, oh, no, I think it's like 25 other movies before this. But after watching it again, I'm like, wow, this was damn good. So it's like, I'll give it a 4.
All
Tony,
right.
too bad it couldn't have just been cut down a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Its runtime hurt it a little bit. Couple of bad decisions fucking held this back from being really good.
They should have called us. They never
They
called us.
should have called. Glenn.
Oh, yeah, like Tony, I believe that the movie should have ended at the post office.
Yeah.
It got a little long in the tooth for me at the end there. I'm like, okay, guys, let's wrap it up. Like you said, I was getting weary of 1408, and it's not that it wasn't a cool movie, and it's not that John Cusack wasn't acting his pants off, because he was, but it just, they dragged it on a little bit too long. Like, they should have pulled the plug, and it would have been a stronger movie for it. So I gave it a $3.99. So it's a
Nice.
$3.99 special.
I love it. Okay, good. At the Blue Diner? At 2 o'clock in the morning? Remember the Blue Diner?
I remember.
Tony, have you ever eaten at the Blue Diner?
Is that Somerville?
Yeah, no, it's right by the highway down by
South Station.
Chinatown. Yeah.
South Station.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was more of a deli house person, and also like IHOP, but definitely did the Blue Diner on occasion.
Cool.
All right. So adding this all together, that comes out to 4.246666667.
Ooh, sixes. Number of the beast.
Lots of sixes. Lots
Where's
of
it
sixes.
putting
It puts it at number 24, right under Dazed and Confused, and right above Starship Troopers.
Yeah, this is way better than Starship Troopers.
It's
Well,
good company. It's good company.
Yeah.
It is.
I will have you know that it did rate higher than Black Christmas. So.
Oh, good. Okay.
No, letting that one go.
Yeah,
So, and we've done about 75 movies now, something close to it.
Something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
our list is 58 because we've got some
Ties.
ties, but yeah, we've done, I think we're like 72 or something like that. We're getting close to hitting 75.
Excellent.
Mhm.
All right. So we will be back next week with Mikki and Tony. Is that right?
Yes, we're gonna do The Prestige.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
Oh, you've
Who's in
seen it. It's Hugh Jackman and somebody else, and David
Christian
Bowie
Bale.
plays Tesla. Thank you. And David Bowie plays Tesla, and it's like a movie about illusionists. It's really good.
Never
Very
seen
It's a
it.
twist. It's a twist movie. You have seen it. We watched it together, and you liked it.
I wasn't paying attention. I don't recall it. Okay.
You were high.
We will be
Movies,
back
movies,
next
movies,
week with our sister podcast, Breaking Vinyl, where we will be breaking down another one of Ed's shitty picks. We'll be doing Triumph, Allied Forces.
Ooh.
I did
Yuck.
not enjoy this album. I did not enjoy this album. I mean, it was fine,
Spoiler.
but yeah, spoiler alert. I had problems with this album. Production was a little stale. So that's it. Thank you for joining us. Leave a review, leave comments on the Facebook page, whatever you want to do or don't. I don't give a fuck. So until next time, I just have one question for you. Hey, did you ever see that movie? See you next time.